set in a post-apocalyptic Japan in the year 2071. The world has been mostly destroyed by mysterious monsters who are known as the Aragami. An organization known as Fenrir, who are humankind's last fortress of defense, was made to exterminate Aragami using god arcs. Weapons made from Aragami cells, and those who specialize in exterminating Aragami are known as God Eaters. Our young protagonist, called Lenka Atsuji, is going through the qualifying exam to join the God Eaters. The scientists implant the special bracelet in his arm that will fuse with his flesh and stay on for the rest of his life. The scientists have high hopes for Lenka, and if he declares that he will be the one to destroy the Aragami, he is congratulated on his pass into the organization. In the midst of an Aragami attack, Lenka and Co. to begin training under Tsubaki's orders, who is the God Eater's first instructor, hoping to go out and destroy as much Aragami as he could. Lenka voluntarily undergoes a strict daily training regiment but ends up constantly failing his missions. Hoping to cheer him up, Kodit takes him to the weapons factory, where he is allowed to see is gone dark early later on, and they're gonna be breaches their settlement from both sides with low numbers. On the defense force, Lenka volunteers to go out and defeat the Aragami. Those who back he turn down his request. He takes his god Archon runs outside with attempts of stopping him proving to be useless. He activates his burst mode, reaching the middle of town. Lenka confronts several Aragami as they try to kill another god eat. But one of them knocks his god arc out of his hand. He was then rescued by the first unit, consisting of Selma, Lindo, and Sakuya, who easily defeat most of the Aragami. Like of the notices one remaining Aragami trying to kill the woman. Retrieving his god arc, he transforms it into a gun and kills the Aragami, impressing the members of the first unit. Lenka and one member of the first unit, called Sakunia, remark on the transformation of Lenka is god arc before more Aragami arrive. As the first unit fight the Aragami, Lynx wishes to help but Lindo dismisses him, telling him to hide. However, Lenka disobeys orders and fires on multiple Aragami but is injured and rushed to a medical facility. When he regains consciousness, he is locked in a holding cell by Tsubaki to await court-martial. For disobeying orders, the superiors of Fenrir eventually rule that Lenka must surrender his god's arc as punishment. When a man called Joannes tries convincing them to let Lenka keep his god arc, due to the rarity of new type users, he learns that another new type user called Allison is on her way from the Russia branch. During a dinner between members of the defense unit 1M, Ember called Hibari Takeda to mentions Lenka's attempts to fight the Aragami without a god arc. Lindo mentions that there was another person sharing those capabilities, but claims to not remember his identity. He then visits Lenka, asked him about the incident, or Lenka begs Lindo to teach him how to fight. Meanwhile, the planes transporting Alyssa come under attack from a swarm of flying Aragami. Tsubaki issues orders to dispatch Lindo and Sakuya, but Lindo mentions Lenka as an addition, which Tsubaki accepts. Lenka is released and joins Lindo and security on the battlefield. They arrive to rescue Alyssa, but she insists on continuing to fight as a new swarm of Aragami approaches. Lenka and Lindo descend on Dialysis plane, with Lindo instructing Lenka to capture Allison. However, Alistair retaliates, announcing her refusal to leave the plane or go with Lenka and Linda so she could tend to other survivors of the attack, including a man called Dr. Aguruma. Lenka explains the situation to Lindo, who informs him that their only option of survival is rescuing Alyssa only. Lenka refuses that course of action and Alyssa forges an alliance with him after engaging the last of the Aragami. Alyssa questions Lindo about the Far East branch's practices, displeased by their apparent disregard for anyone who is not immediately useful to them. Suddenly, Sick Ounce is the approach of a new massive oracle reaction and jumps out of the helicopter, intending to use it as a decoy. Suddenly, I Know Robert Rose arrives, which is an enormous octopus like Aragami, stunning Lenka and Alyssa into silence. A flashback displays the ability of oracle cells to multiply and divide massively as an induced reaction causes the formation of what appears to be the first Aragami. Tsubaki introduces Joannes the Lenka Alyssa and tells Lenka that his actions in protecting Alicia's transport have resulted in the suspension of all charges against him for his disobedience. Tsubaki informs Lenka and Alyssa that they will be formally assigned to the first unit along with Koda. While out with Koda, Lenka Aegis Island on the horizon. and learns that the island will be able to shelter every human on Earth once completed. Later Linka and Kota accompany the rest of the first unit on a mission to take down 6 powerful Aragami during the battle. Lindo speaks out against Elisa's inability to fight as a team after the mission. The first unit encounters a group of civilians who lost most of their people in Aragami attack, and seek shelter at the Far East branch, though the first unit agrees to take them to the base. Linka witnesses the entire group being turned away upon arrival. Because none of them were judged to be compatible with the God's Ark, he attempts to intervene but is stopped by Lindo. In a flashback, Joanne's looks over a report regarding an incident with the Oracle cell mutation. He then deletes a portion of it and replaces it with falsified information. Returning to the base, Linka inquires about the Aegis project with Hibari, who explains that the project is not yet complete. Meanwhile, Tsubaki gives Linka Sakuya, Kota, and Elisa their next mission, which is to extract the cores of 2 large type Aragami. However, Sakuya has given another mission, much to the dissatisfaction of Linka Kota, who wish to hunt the large type Aragami instead. During the mission, the 4 killed 2 of the 4 targets but are cornered by the other 2. However, they are surprisingly saved by an Aragami called Diauspida, covered in a dark aura which also recognizes the type that killed her parents. Flying into a rage, she charges at the Diauspida, but it incapacitates her and the others and then begins attacking nearby civilians. With Sakuya and Kota still paralyzed, Linka Elisa attack the Diauspida to stop it from killing more civilians, but it incapacitates both, breaks Linka's God Ark and massacres the rest of the civilians. Before Linka's eyes, Kota and Sakura recover, distract the beast long enough for Linka to carry Elisa to safety. However, continuing its attack on him, the Diauspida breaks the fragile land bridge, plummeting them all into a river below. Despite a massive wound, Linka manages to survive his fall. He discovers Elisa unconscious and uses CPR to revive her. Upon regaining consciousness at an abandoned building, Elisa realizes her God Ark is missing. As she leaves to look for it, she stops to see how injured Linka is. Returning to his side, she performs basic first aid before noticing Linka is destroyed God's Ark when Aragami attacks the area. Linka and Elisa take shelter. Linka comments on the effectiveness of Elisa's first aid and wonders if his God Ark can be fixed, but also remarks that his God Ark is dead. The 2 then decide to sneak out to search for Elisa's God Ark. Arriving back at the river, they notice the hilt of Elisa's God Ark in the water. But if she goes to pick it up, she is attacked by Aragami, which triggers flashbacks of her parents' deaths and compromises her ability to fight. Linka tries to save her and even uses his body as a human shield to protect Elisa, but Linda arrives on the scene and saves them both. He then admonishes Linka for his actions and decides to take Linka and Elisa to a secret sanctuary. Instead of heading to the extraction point, he reveals that the area is guarded by Aragami-infused trees, which are monitored and protected by Linda. Linka accompanies Lindo as he harvests Aragami cells from the trees and witnesses their offensive capability when Aragami accidentally touches the tree. Meanwhile, Elisa thinks about her previous encounter with the Aragami, which continues to traumatize her, and Aragami later breaches the sanctuary and manages to evade the trees. Lindo tells Linka to protect the sanctuary and its people into believing his God Ark. Despite its damage, coming up with a strategy, Linka distracts the Aragami with various attacks until he obtains an ambulance to damage it. However, the Aragami puts up its defense mechanism and Linka uses the last sample by powering his damaged God Ark, turning it into a monster that defeats the Aragami. Lindo notices Linka's success while Elisa helplessly. He watches the events in a flashback. Joanne's and his team discovered the Oracle cells evading a certain cell. Afterward, they report is denied by the government. In the present day, Jonas oversees the development of Aegis on his computer. Linka and Elisa are rescued and brought back to the Far East branch. Linka's God Ark is sent in for repairs, while Elisa's transferred to a psychiatric ward. Meanwhile, Tsubaki tells Linda about the Diauspida and mentions that Elisa has some connection to it. Linda then goes off to explore Aegis Island during a medical and physiological examination. Linka learns that his internal wounds from the battle against the PETA have miraculously healed during a mission to kill Swarm Aragami. The joint force assigned to the mission is outnumbered. Tsubaki orders a retreat, but Linka, observing from the command center, instructs the joint force to go underground to find an exit, explaining that retreating above the ground will only result in further disaster. When it becomes clear that Linka's plan leads to a successful mission, he is given command of the team and commended on his leadership in the God Arc maintenance room. Sakaki informs Linka his God Arc snap because his compatibility rate exceeded the weapon's capabilities, not from the Diao's Pita attack. Linka also learns his heightened compatibility rate is caused by his God Arc's oracle cells invading his body, and at this rate will increase even more and hasten his death should he wield his God Arc further. In a flashback, Joanne, Sakaki, and Asia remark on test results of the Manic Arm project. An earthquake rocks the entire planet and enormous oracle cell spires rise from the ground all over the world, destroying anything in their vicinity. A colony of oracle cells is seen gathering. Is the first Aragami emerges from the ground in a flashback to the first days of the Aragami outbreak. A.K. Johann Sakaki and a woman called Aisha meet in a room overlooking the destruction and the notice of building tipped with anti-oracle lights, which they later called bias factor, and Joanne wonders if the bias cell can be used as a weapon. Back to the present, was Linka curious about Soma's Grim Reaper nickname, realizing that Soma's surname is the same as Johannes. Later, Tsubaki outlines further details regarding the placement of the Aragami guidance devices with Lanka. Before being called to train new recruits, Linka asks why she stepped down as a God Eater, where it's revealed that she doesn't believe Aragami can be fully exterminated, but hopes the next generation will find the solution. Linka and Soma are later sent on a mission to destroy more Aragami. When Soma hesitates to use his special attack against them, Lanka reaffirms that he has every right to exist as his own person, as a beacon of hope rather than a harbinger of death. Hearing these words, Soma lets loose his special attack, killing the Aragami. Later, he confronts Linka about having viewed his file and explains the futility of the Aegis plan, as Aragami can never be truly destroyed. Linka imports so many passes own hope for the future on to the next generation. We also find out from another flashback that Aisha is Soma's mother. Meanwhile, Sakaki finishes restoring Linka is God Arc, which has taken a new form 15 years earlier. A child called Iro Hatsuji and her parents is among those denied entry into Fenrir, since Fenrir only allows entry to God Arc candidates in their blood relatives, and they all test negative. Iron's family then adopts an abandoned baby and names him Linka. 8 years later, Iroha and Linka's mother fall ill, so they joined a search party to find medicine for the sick, and Aragami attacks and kills everyone, but they escape, cornered by multiple Aragami. Lindo rescues them and imparts a test kit to Iroha. Linka then falls ill, so his mother dies after choosing to use the remaining medicine on him. Meanwhile, Linka tests positive for compatibility with God Arc, but Iroha hides this result from him. A few years later, Aragami attacks their camp and their father is trapped under debris. He convinces Linka and Iroha to escape just before Aragami consumes him. After escaping, Iroha wounds and fast and immobilizes her just as Aragami surrounds their hideout. She reveals his test results and requests him to join Fenrir. However, he refused to abandon her, so she fatally slices her own throat. Saddened, Link escapes while promising her that he will change the world. Iroha apologizes to her parents for not being able to watch over him anymore. As before the Aragami consumer, the story returns to the present, where Linka has successfully merged with his new involved God Arc. God Eaters from all around the world can be an inventor for Operation Media. Right after Tsubaki outlines the plan, she announces Lindo as leader of the operation, but he suggests Linka take his place. Linka accepts the position and also liberates Operation Meteoric commences. And they all start killing the Aragami. Suddenly, unknown device activates inside the dam, causing all badgers to migrate in its direction. Lindo investigates and discovers it is also the location of a settlement inhabited by refugees denied access to Fenrir. Lindo goes alone to protect them as Aragami thwarts the other units from joining him. Thus, Linka decides to leave the command center to aid Lindo. In the flashback, Johann and Aisha expect the birth of their child, but she is unable to deliver. The doctors perform a C-section. but Flash bursts out from her womb instantly killing everyone in the operating room. Johann survives thanks to his good luck charm, which is composed of material that deflected the oracle cells. He finds his newborn son inside the operating room and sees Ancient's whole body covered with flesh except in one place within. Oracle Crystal Core Linka, armed with the new God Arc, helps Lindo fight off the Badger's reasoning that someone must have activated another guiding device which distracted the Aragami. Lindo sets out to find it but encounters the Diauspida. He fights it alone to allow the others to go and protect the villagers. Linka and the others rescue the villagers, but are shocked to see the Diauspida emerge without Lindo. Upset by his death, they engage in and Linka ultimately kills it before collapsing from accelerated oracle cell erosion. Upon recovering, Linka becomes the new captain of the first unit with Alisa Kota Soma and Sakuya. While Sum is on a mission, a shadow can be seen looking over him, then brings various canned foods to an unseen man before stopping to smoke. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed and turn on the notification so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.